The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Go to www.thefacesofmars.com. That's www.thefacesofmars.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of America! President Camacho! Sit your monkey ass down. Chill out. Shit. I know shit's bad right now with all that starving bullshit and the dust storms and we running out of French fries and burrito coverings.
Yeah.
But I got a solution.
That's what you said last time, dipshit.
I got a solution. You're a dick.
South Carolina, what's up?
That's what I thought. Now, I understand everyone's shit's emotional right now, but listen up. I got a 3-point plan to fix everything.
Break it down, Camacho.
Number one, we got this guy,
the Mad Martian.
Number two, he's got a higher IQ than any man alive. And number three, he's gonna fix everything. Give you my word as president. He'll fix the problems with all the dead crops. He's gonna make them grow again. And that ain't all. I give you my word. He's gonna fix the
Other Side of Midnight.
dust don't see. Give you my word. He's gonna fix
President Camacho stood before the world and promised everyone that
The Mad Martian.
would solve all their problems. He would not only end
The Faces on Mars.
Cover up controversy. Film.
Through time.
and heal the economy, but he would cure
I'm NASA and you're not.
sickness as well. And if he didn't, President Camacho made another promise. He would kick
My old friend, the Mad Martian.
smart balls all the way up to the roof of his smart mouth, and then he would throw his brainy ass back in.
Time.
There's no escaping the American attraction. A bait and switch that's gonna thrill you with distraction. It sounds so good that can't resist the satisfaction. When it's all over, you'll be crying, I'll be laughing. I got that drug, I got everything you want. Got that drug, I got everything you want. The American attraction. It's the American attraction. The clock tick, 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 ticking down to a disaster. Your insecurity is all they're gunning after. This propaganda's so impossible to resist. Well, ideology replaces being honest. I got that job, I got everything you want. Got that job, got that job, I got everything you know. It's the American attraction. It's the American attraction. gun, got your drug. You got your bomb, got the blood. And now we've had enough. I got the gun, got the truck. I got everything you want. Got the bomb, got the blood. I got everything you want. It's the American attraction. It's the American attraction. It's the American attraction. It's the American attraction.
That's right, everybody. Come join the American attraction. Good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and all you ETs out there on the byteways of the internet and wherever you're at down through time monitoring this show. I'm Gary Lashia, the Mars Revealer, known also as the Mad Martian, and I would like to welcome you all to the Martian Revelation that is upon you all again now. And today's December 15th of 2018, or the 16th, depending upon your time zone as this airs through time. And you're listening to this broadcast through www.lnmradionetwork.com, where the shield of LNM is the symbol of truth for the Martian Revelation and also your defense for the war, which we all fight against the evil dark missioners, to bring you the truth one show at a time. And L&M Radio Network is also 100% listener supported. So if you're a listener, please support shows like this Martian Revelation, as it is because of you, the listener, of which makes the Martian Revelation possible to be brought to you all back through time. So please hit the subscribe button on lnmradionetwork.com and please share the link. And please donate to the network to allow it to continue being here for you, especially to bring you the Martian Revelation. That way this show continues being here for you to help lead you into the future, especially as we fight the war again against these evil dark missioners who are all leading you away from the light and the truth and manipulating you all instead to help you open your wallets and your pocketbooks to only allow them more power for their dark side special clubs to continue to mislead you all and to steer you away from the truth that they themselves not wish to face or even admit to, yet somehow they wish to remain relevant, and also uses a cliche that asks you if you can handle the truth. Ha! I know, sounds like a ripoff, don't it? So your listenership and your donation support counts and helps us all not only to fight, but to win against those evil dark missioners, as well as to secure a future which we all can literally make the Martian Revelation our reality. By what? By making our fate. So please donate today to lnmradionetwork.com, and also please donate to the Martian Revelation Show to become part of the Martian Militia, because your donation support will help ensure that the Martian Revelation will continue to be brought to you all through time. Just remember also that if you're listening to this Martian Revelation show, then know this, that you are the resistance. And we got a pretty cool show for you all today, as we're going to have our guest RAMI ILAN on with us this night. So we'll be delving into some subjects of artifacts being discovered on Mars, as seen through NASA's Mars Curiosity rover imagery. So now that being said,
go to www.thefacesofmars.com.
The Faces of Mars.
That's www.thefacesofmars.com.
Before we go there, let's get into some news. And this one's from December 14th. Planetary scientists assist in capturing image of the Mars InSight from orbit. Houston, there is no problem here. Eric Pills assisted in capturing, for the first time ever, extraordinary and highly significant scientific images of the NASA and Mars InSight robotic lander using the high-rise camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, which is currently reconnoitering the red planet. But a rising star at Western University Center for Planetary Science and Exploration, Pill started his academic career in economic geology, but has since transitioned into planetary sciences, now as a postdoctoral associate under the supervision of Livio Tornabene and the Center for Planetary Science and Exploration Director Gordon Osinski. Tornabene, an adjunct professor in Western's Department of Earth Sciences, is a long-term scientific team member of the HiRISE, which is based at the University of Arizona Lunar and Planetary Laboratory. That's right, it's not called Jet Propulsion Laboratory anymore. It's Lunar and Planetary Laboratory. But high-rise team members take turns leading the scientific planning of image captures, and this marks the 8th time Tornabene has supervised the 2-week imaging cycle from Western. Tornabene also includes students in the process, allowing new planetary scientists like Pills an incredible opportunity to collaborate with the very best minds in space exploration while using the best tools and technology. While the knowledge gained on space missions like HiRISE is vital to understanding Earth and its place in the universe, it's equally important for mission veterans like myself to train the next generation of planetary scientists, says Tornabene, who personally recommended Pills for leading the science planning of the current HiRISE cycle. Canada was the 3rd country in space, and collectively, we have invaluable experience and knowledge to share, which is why it's so important that we continue to support space research in Canada financially, functionally, and fundamentally. Well, get on that. But Pills, who participated in Western's first HiRISE cycle in 2014, worked directly with University of Arizona-based HiRISE targeting specialist Kristen Block to capture the full-color HiRISE image of InSight, which was officially revealed yesterday at the American Geophysical Union fall meeting being held in Washington, D.C., with Osinki in attendance. And NASA Mars InSight successfully landed on Mars on Monday, November 26. Listeners to this show can appreciate and remember. The HiRISE image compilation released yesterday shows the NASA Mars InSight robotic lander, as well as other hardware needed for entry, descent, and landing. But in the compilation, it appears that the heat shield, the upper right, has its dark outside facing down, since it is so bright, likely due to a specular reflection. The lander, which is in the middle, disturbed dust over a fair distance and has darkened the surface as seen previously at both the Phoenix and Curiosity landing sites. Again, please
go to
thefacesofmars.com.
That's
thefacesofmars.com.
And scroll down the show information page to see the information of tonight's guest and his imagery, as well as the imagery under those images that shows the landing site for the Mars InSight. The bright spot associated with the lander itself is probably another specular reflection. And there are 2 similar dark bluish extensions that are the solar arrays, plus there are even darker shadows. The back shell attached to the parachute, which is in the lower left, may show yet another specular reflection. The streak extending to the south well beyond the parachute is probably a pre-existing dust devil track. The lander is approximately 6 meters wide when the solar arrays are fully deployed. Western's contributions to the 315th HiRISE cycle, planned in part at the CPSX Mission Control Facility in Western's Department of Physics and Astronomy, will result in 271 new images of Mars. The current cycle continues through December 22nd. Pills and Tornabene are joined on the current mission by PhD candidate Shannon Hibbard and Department of Earth Sciences adjunct professor and research engineer Matthew Bourassa. So that's good. Everything's A-okay with the Mars InSight as it starts getting prepped to get ready to search for those subsurface illegals the listeners to this show could appreciate and understand. Remember, that mission has many classified aspects to it. And again, I got to state, to me, it makes sense because like Vice President Mike Pence has stated,
and here from this bridge to space, our nation will return to the moon and we will put American boots on the face of Mars.
So to me, it's a no-brainer. It's easy to connect. And what the future of the Martian revelation is going to be revealing to us all down through time. But let's get on to some of what's not a race, space race news. And this one's from December 12th. China's Chang'e 4 successfully enters lunar orbit. Next stop, the lunar far side. China's Chang'e 4 lunar mission, the first ever soft landing endeavor on the lunar far side, launched successfully on December 8th at 2:23 Beijing time via the Long March 3B rocket from Xicheng Satellite Launch Center. I'm sure I'm saying that name wrong, and I don't care. The launch carried a lander and a rover toward the moon. On the 12th of December at 8:45 Beijing time, the spacecraft arrived in lunar orbit, preparing for a landing in early January. The launch placed Chang'e 4 directly into a 200 by 420,000 kilometer Earth-Moon transfer orbit, similar to the pass of Chang'e 2 and 3 and Quang. Again, I'm saying that name wrong. Chang'e 1 orbited Earth 3 times before moving to an Earth-Moon transfer orbit. This type of transfer orbit typically takes 4 to 5 days, and navigators plan 2 or 3 trajectory correction maneuvers to adjust the path. Actually, Chang'e 4 required only 1 trajectory correction maneuver. The first trajectory correction maneuver, which was planned for 8th of December at about 9:42 p.m. Beijing time, was canceled because the trajectory was deemed accurate enough. The second trajectory correction maneuver was carried out at about 4:42 p.m. Beijing time, December 9th. The third trajectory correction maneuver was planned for about 24 hours ahead of the braking maneuver on December 11th at about 4:42 Beijing time, which was also canceled because the second maneuver had placed the vehicle on an accurate enough trajectory. Are you people listening to this? Do you get what this is saying so far? To as many of you, I'm sure, this is nothing. It's saying that technology is sound. Wake up. But canceling maneuvers leaves reserve fuel also on the spacecraft for the landing phase. During the Earth-Moon transfer phase, amateur radio astronomer Scott Tilley tracked Chang'e 4 several times. For example, he told Chang'e 4 was about 366,000 kilometers away from Earth on December 11th at about 5:40 a.m. Beijing time, and it was on its expected orbit. He also kept tabs on Chang'e 5 T1, still communicating with Earth from a stable lunar orbit. That's right, because from the far side, it will be able to beam, as it was, signals from the surface up to that orbiter, which could easily transfer it to the Earth. Because on the far side of the moon, there's a line of sight issue. You know, they're not beaming the information through the moon. So it needs an eye in the sky with ears to also send it back to Earth. So that's been there in orbit. Again, wake up! And the China National Agency announced successful lunar orbit insertion via Xinhua News. The command for the braking maneuver burn was issued on December 12th. That's 4:39 p.m. Beijing time, and Chang'e 4 successfully inserted in the lunar orbit with a perilune of about 100 kilometers at 4:45 p.m. Beijing time. Now that Chang'e 4 already has entered the lunar orbit, why is it waiting 20 more days to land? There are probably several reasons. I'm sure they are, and they're all intelligence reconnoitering Chinese military. Several reasons. But engineers have the work yet to do prepare for landing. They will test instruments, test the relay link with Quang, and so on. That's that orbiter that would catch the signals from the surface to send it back to the Earth. And again, I'm sure I'm saying that name wrong, and I don't care. But they may need to adjust the orbit in orbit to better target the landing, which must be more precise on the rugged far side than Chang'e 3's in the flat near side Maria. They also have to wait for the sun to rise in the landing region. Because contraire mon frere, as everyone may assume, the dark side of the moon is not the dark side of the moon. Only periodically. But the far side of the moon is not the dark side. It has daytime and nighttime as we do. The difference is one lunar day is much longer, with about 14 Earth days of daytime and about 14 Earth days of nighttime. I just love to see what it would really look like in days of its nighttime, being that Chang'e 4 is just hanging around up there behind the moon on the far side there. Who knows? Maybe they'll discover Santa Claus. And many of you listeners out there might appreciate what I'm saying there, reminiscences of a code transfer, that there is a Santa Claus when they went around the moon back in the Apollo days. But anyway, you can check to see where it is day and night on the moon easily at the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Quick Map website. Open up the Layers tab, choose Overlays, and then tap the Sunlit Region button. And the article shows the day and night region on the far side and the near side on December 12th at about 5 p.m. Beijing time. You can see that the night is about to fall across the South Pole Aitken Basin region, which is the target of the Chang'e 4's landing. The South Polar region. Why is that being focused on consistently by multiple space agencies? There's many reasons there for that too, and I don't buy all of them. But though the search for water is very important, I understand that. But the sun will rise again around the new year, so Chang'e 4 will probably land in the first few days of January of 2019. The slow pace of sunrise and sunset will control the activity of Chang'e 4's rover. Recall that the Chang'e 3 rover, U2, could not work at night due to the cold environment. It first rode onto the surface on December 15th of 2013 and stopped on the 24th of December as the sun set. It resumed activity on the 11th of January 2014 when the daytime returned. Again, wake up! Their technology is sound. But the 180-kilometer diameter crater Von Karman, centered at about 44.8 degrees south by 175.9 degrees east, inside the South Polar Aitken Basin, seems to be the most likely landing site. Although there seem to be other potential sites. Really? Again, this is Chinese military. They're not out there to benefit you and I and what is out there. Wake up! The space race is on. But no matter where the exact location is, one thing is for sure. The topography of the landing site is much more rugged and complex than the flat Mare Imbrium, the landing site of Chang'e 3. According to the reports on Chinese television, the landing of Chang'e 4 is much more challenging and risky than Chang'e 3 because of the difficult topography. Again, people, wake up! Look where NASA's putting their rovers and everything, and not so difficult topography. And look who, if these guys accomplish that, which most likely they will, wake up! But the lander has to autonomously assess its altitude and velocity relative to the surface in order to land safely, which is why landing regions that are flat over a broad area are preferred. But therefore, the landing strategy of Chang'e 4 will be a little different from Chang'e 3. Chang'e 4's approach to the landing will be much steeper compared to the shallow landing trajectory of Chang'e 3. Compared to launch and orbit insertion, landing will be the real challenge for the Chang'e 4. Hope everything goes well, the article concludes with. Yes, and for the benefits of science, that would be nice, that everything goes well. But from the side of we the people and the Space Force and the survival of our nation and to be dominant and leading in space, do we hope that everything goes well for them? It does make you ponder and it does make you wonder. Especially as we deal with this next article from December 14th. NASA seeks U.S. partners to develop reusable systems to land astronauts on the moon. As the next major step to return astronauts to the moon under Space Policy Directive 1, NASA announced plans on December 13th to work with American companies to design and develop new reusable systems for astronauts to land on the lunar surface. The agency is planning to test new human-class landers on the moon beginning in 2024, with the goal of sending crew to the surface in 2028. You see, that's the problem right here because, again, NASA did not want to help Elon Musk with that big effing rocket program that would put us there sooner than the dates that's being talked about here. I mean, I want you all to think about that. The only one that has balls enough is an international collaborator who has balls, Mr. Mizawa, who is helping Elon Musk. And now the call goes out to the American public to put it in also in the American public's hands to help make this happen. Yet remember, the Chinese are already landing really soon. But through upcoming multi-phase lunar exploration partnerships, NASA will ask American companies to study the best approach to landing astronauts on the moon and start the development as quickly as possible with current and future anticipated technologies. You see, this is where President Trump and his vision and what Vice President Mike Pence, chairman of the National Space Council, was also talking about and getting these technologies, new technologies, not just out to the military, but in overall that will enable us to get our military boots out there to be put on the face of Mars. At this point, China is leading publicly. But building on our model in low Earth orbit, we'll expand our partnerships with industry and other nations to explore the moon and advance our missions to farther destinations such as Mars, with America leading the way, said NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine. Well, kick out, Mr. Bridenstine, because as it is right now, the Chinese are already ahead of you. But when we send astronauts to the surface of the moon in the next decade, it will be in a sustainable fashion. Well, that's a no-brainer. It has to be. But that opens up industrialization in space, because you're going to need construction workers as well, and other things. Doctors, janitors. You get the drift? And that's how it has to happen. But the agency's leading approach to sending humans to the moon is using a system of 3 separate elements that will provide the transfer, landing, and safe return. A key aspect of this proposed approach is to use the gateway for round-trip journeys to and from the surface of the moon. Using the gateway to land astronauts on the moon allows the first building blocks for fully reusable lunar landers. Again, talk to Elon Musk. That you scold like a child because he wanted to smoke a doobie. Get over it! You have no right to dictate what we the people have a right to do or not to do. We all have a participation and a right to that participation in we the people's space program, especially when we have to be the bulk of the Space Force. But the agency is also working on technologies to make rocket propellants using water, ice, and regolith from the moon. Okay, once the ability to harness resources from the moon for propellant becomes viable, NASA plans to refuel these elements with the moon's own resources. This process, known as in situ resource utilization, or ISRU, will make the third element also refuelable and reusable. Again, that's a no-brainer of what has to be done. But NASA expects to publish a formal request for proposals to an appendix of the second Next Space Technologies for Exploration Partnerships, which is also the next step too. Broad agency announcement in early January. According to the synopsis, NASA will fund industry-led development and flight demonstrations on lunar landers built for astronauts by supporting critical studies and risk reduction activities to advance technology requirements. Tailor applicable standards, develop technology, and perform initial demonstrations by landing on the moon. Again, I guess you feel comfortable following the Chinese. But when NASA again sends humans to the moon, the surface will be buzzing with new research and robotic activity. Robotic, not just robotic, it needs to be multiple humans as well. Not just a few astronauts. More to Elon Musk's vision, but for the moon, as well as for Mars. Co-jointly, not the moon first, then Mars. That's the turtleneck pace speed we as a nation cannot afford to step back from. That's my opinion, because that's the reality of it. Time is of the essence. So there will be a lot more opportunities for discovery than ever before. Private sector innovation is key to these NASA missions, and the next step, public-private partnership model, is advancing capabilities for human spaceflight while stimulating commercial activities in space. You see, industrialization in space, jobs in space. The Democrats want all these illegals coming in. Well, you want to come in also, make it faster? Join this industrialist nation moving out into space. Secure your citizenship by having some balls. We obviously need your boots to be put on the face of Mars and to face the threats coming from deep space. But the president's direction from Space Policy Directive 1 galvanizes NASA's return to the moon and builds on progress on the Space Launch System rocket and the Orion spacecraft efforts with commercial and international partners, and knowledge gained from the current robotic presence at the moon and Mars. You see, that's all good and all, but again, for the Space Force, we need our own national space dominance, not international collaborators to make it happen for we the people. And we especially cannot look to the Chinese for all our hopes in what the future of the Martian revelation represents. It must be built on this model of we the people and of our Space Force. like President Trump outlined, built on our infrastructure and what we the people create as that infrastructure to secure what we need to. And that would secure our nation and make our nation great permanently. Potential position. Speaking of prospects, news released earlier today from space.com by Jeff Faust, space news writer. Virgin Galactic's Richard Branson looks ahead to beginning commercial Space Flight 2 flights. From Mojave, California. With the first flight to the edge of space under the company's belt, Virgin Galactic founder Richard Branson believes commercial flights of Spaceship Two could begin sometime next year. An exuberant Branson took to the stage at the Mojave Air and Spaceport here to congratulate the company and its employees for a successful test flight December 13th of the Spaceship Two vehicle named VSS Unity, which reached a peak altitude of 82.7 kilometers. The flight was the first by the vehicle to cross the boundary of 50 miles, or approximately 80 kilometers, that U.S. government agencies use to award astronaut wings. How on earth do I describe the feeling, he said on the stage, referring to his emotions from watching the successful test flight. Joy? Definitely. Relief? Emphatically. Exhilaration? Absolutely. Offstage, a more subdued Branson, huddling with a group of reporters, said he shed tears of relief after the successful flight. When you're on the test flight program of a space company, you can never be completely 100% sure, because that's what a test flight program is, he said. The space flight was tested to its limits today, and she performed just as we wished, and we just couldn't be happier. This flight does not mark the end of the test flight program for Spaceship Two. We will now push on with the remaining portion of our flight test program, which will see the rocket motor burn for longer and the VSS Unity fly still faster and higher, he said on stage. On the December 13 test flight, Spaceship Two's hybrid rocket motor burned for 60 seconds, several seconds longer than the high end of estimates of the burn time. Company officials gave at a briefing the day before. George Whitesides, chief executive of Virgin Galactic, said after this flight that a full duration burn would last approximately 5 seconds longer. Branson was optimistic that the next test flight could take place in the near future after a review of data from this flight. If nothing shows up that needs to be changed, then the next test flight could be quite soon, he told reporters, suggesting that could happen in roughly a month. He also stated that if all goes well, only a few more test flights would be needed before Virgin Galactic would be ready to shift operations to Spaceport America in New Mexico, where the company plans to perform commercial flights. Ideally, we want to do 3 more flights before we go to New Mexico. And I got to tell you, looking at it lower like this is an amazing time that we're in, at what we are at the cusp of. Our world's going to transform if we only applicate it and have the balls to do so. But anyway, Whiteside said upcoming test flights would include flying company employees in the vehicle along with pilots in order to test operational procedures for future flights that will carry spaceflight participants. Once we've gotten through that, we could start thinking about doing commercial flights, he said, not giving a specific number of test flights planned beyond not a huge number. But Branson confirmed that he still planned to be on the first commercial flight of Spaceship Two from Spaceport America sometime next year. Once the testing is finished, then I'll do my flight, he said. And that would be pretty cool. But the company plans to grow the fleet of vehicles supporting commercial operations. Besides VSS Unity, 2 more Spaceship Two vehicles are currently under construction, with the first of them expected to be completed in about a year. Branson said that the company would soon start building 2 more Spaceship Two vehicles, as well as a second White Knight II carrier aircraft. Virgin Galactic has about 700 customers who have either paid the full price of a ticket or had already put down a deposit. We stopped for the last 4 years taking new reservations, he said, but we'll start taking reservations again soon. These new customers might be paying more than $250,000 price previously offered by the company, though. What will happen in the short term is that the price will go up a bit, he said. And then in the next, most likely 3 years, it will start coming down. He didn't specify the size of the increase or by how much the price would later decrease, however. But space is not cheap, he said. I've personally invested about $1 billion into this project. He said that the total investment was about 1.3 to 1.5 billion. Wow. A total that Whiteside said later included not just Virgin Galactic, but also spacecraft manufacturer, the spaceship company, and small launch vehicle firm Virgin Orbit. Branson suggested that he may be looking for additional investors into the company. Virgin Group announced an agreement with the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia in October 2017 that would have resulted in a $1 billion investment in Virgin Space companies. However, Branson said in October that he had terminated that deal, good, in reaction to the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi by the Saudi government. Good. Again, we need to keep this home on our homeland, on our home turf of the United States of America, for we the people, for our infrastructure. We don't need foreign collaborators in on our future security of our nation. Once we build the infrastructure, we could help them climb up and reach the heavens as it was, but not the other way around. We've seen what these politicians did with international collaborators, and look, our nation's almost being destroyed as we speak. It's under attack from many sides in a globalist world government system that does not want us to have a space force, that does not want Virgin Galactic to succeed, that does not want Elon Musk to succeed, that does not want we the people to succeed. Again, wake up. But we said no to the Saudi money because of the Khashoggi incident, he said. By being successful today, I suspect we'll bring in other investors to help us take it on to the next stage. And I would say no foreign collaboration investments. We need to do this while investors at home in America to secure America's position to be dominant in space. That's a no-brainer. Now let's check out this article from metro.co.uk, written by Jeff Parsons from Wednesday, December 12th. Russian scientists claim spaceships need electromagnetic shields to survive the trip to Mars. Now think about that. A Russian scientist has said that future spaceships will need to be equipped with shields to survive a trip to Mars. Specifically, these will have to be artificially created electromagnetic shields designed to protect the hull from galactic rays during the journey. And I will say, or anything else, you should be reminded of Star Trek and all that. But Andrei Sternberg, the head of the Experimental Biology and Medicine Department at the Institute of Medical and Biological Problems in Moscow, reckons current ships just aren't up to the task. You can get protection from solar rays, but you can't be shielded from galactic rays. Passive protection, installing aluminum screens, the intermediate water layer, is senseless, he said. The sole variant is electromagnetic protection. An example, creating an electromagnetic field around the spacecraft that will deflect particles. But this requires very enormous energies and naturally the spacecraft's large weight. Galactic cosmic rays are those that come from outside our solar system. Their long-term effect on humans is unknown at the moment, but NASA is currently trying to study this. Considering a trip to Mars will take around 300 days, the effect of these rays on spaceships carrying passengers will need to be understood. But Sternberg, at any rate, is fairly sure that these rays can be fatal. Acute disorders of the central nervous system are observed from the impact of galactic cosmic rays. Even if at very small doses, the spatial memory and orientation are impaired, the scientist said. As a consequence, the cosmonaut's operational activity may be disrupted, and he would simply fail to press the required button. Moreover, the flight to Mars is largely an autonomous endeavor. Communications with Earth are complicated, and cosmonauts may die during the flight. At this stage of the development of space technology and anti-radiation protection, a human can't fly to Mars, Sternberg concluded. So that's all interesting. It seems to appear that that also shows you that they're working on it. How much have we been working on? But it also makes you wonder because, again, a few weeks back, listeners of this show could appreciate, I did have a news article about the Russians and the ESA are going to be sending a probe to Phobos, all right, where it's going to land on the Phobos, send a couple probes and jettison up back to the probe to come back to Earth. Get this, organisms. They obviously know that there's organisms there and that they're going to capture some organisms, bring them back, because that'll help determine the test for these future space flights. So what Mr. Stenberg is obviously referring to is obviously the bigger plot plans of, again, getting their asses and their boots to be put on the face of Mars before our American boots are placed there. The space race is on, everybody. That's the point. And the nations are lining up with their plans to do what they want to do to dominate space as well. They're not our friends. And you people have to understand that. This is going to count on human survival of our species. Never mind our nation. And we the people must secure it and usher in the Martian revelation. And to focus on another interesting article, this one's from December 4th. I didn't get to read it out last week. An article that states that aliens may have visited Earth, NASA scientist says. He also suggests that extraterrestrials may be more technologically advanced than humans. I think that right now that's also a no-brainer. We've been acclimated to that type of mindset for years now. Wouldn't everybody say, at least agree with that? But a NASA scientist says Earth may have already been visited by extraterrestrials, but that humans may not have noticed. In a research paper, Silvano P. Colombano, a computer scientist at NASA Ames Research Center and a professor, suggests that aliens may look vastly different than the expectations that humans have of them, such as being carbon-based organisms, which would allow them to remain undetected. I simply want to point out the fact that the intelligence we might find, and that might choose to find us, if it hasn't already, might not be at all produced by carbon-based organisms like us, Colombano wrote in the paper. According to Colombano, to advance in the search for extraterrestrial life, scientists must revisit our most cherished assumptions and consider the idea of different characteristics, as well as the possibility that interstellar travel is already feasible for these extraterrestrials. The size of the explorer might be that of an extremely tiny superintelligent entity, he hypothesized. If we adapt a new set of assumptions about what forms of higher intelligence and technology we might find, some of those phenomena might fit specific hypotheses, and we could start some serious inquiry. All right, I'm with him there. But Colombano also suggests that it's also worth reconsidering what civilization may actually look like when scanning the universe, and considering further that technological development in our civilization started only about 10,000 years ago, again, according to modern historical educational processes. And it's also seen the rise of scientific methodologies only in the past 500 years when doing so, as humans may have a real problem predicting technological evolution even for the next 1,000 years, let alone 6 million times that amount. Okay, and that makes sense also. But additionally, Colombano suggests the reasons UFO phenomena may have gone unnoticed or overlooked in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence are because, in addition to assuming a low likelihood of extraterrestrial travel and a high likelihood of hoaxes, the subject is generally avoided by the scientific community. And I got to add, well, whose fault is that? But the militaries, as well as governmental entities. But the paper, which was submitted as part of SETI's Decoding Alien Intelligence workshop, concludes by proposing a more aggressive approach for future SETI exploration, which is search for extraterrestrial intelligence, exploration by considering such things as a willingness to stretch possibilities as to the nature of space-time and energy, and speculation about what kinds of societies we might expect to find. Again, a no-brainer. Someone that's encouraging free thought and imagineering and speculative thinking. Can it be true? And especially a part of SETI's Decoding of Alien Intelligence workshop? I mean, this is amazing times indeed. Look where it's all going. They're trying to prep you. Now it's time to get you all out of the giggle factor and the name calling and the ridicule, to put this up in the front of the seriousness of the reality of what it really is that it alludes to, and that it actually is in reality. especially as it all converges again to the Martian revelation that's upon you all now. So that's a lot to think about there, people. Again, all that should inspire our American attraction. Because the stage is being set now. And you all are going to have to take off your blinders to see the reality, especially to face it as it is now upon us. And the other nations know it. Who's going to win? Who has the balls? Things to ponder on this bizarre night of the Martian revelation. So anyway, I think with all that, all you listeners to this show can appreciate and know the motto, pack 'em and smoke 'em, because you're going to need 'em, as we're going to come back with our guest, RAMI Bar Ilan of Exclusive Mars Images. So smoke tight.
I'll be back.
Don't run. We are your friends.
The L&M Radio Network is the #1 network in the land.
That's a big statement.
Yes, it is. We have the best host with the best guests and the best information.
I agree with that.
As you should. L&M is surrounded by some of the top names in the business.
Of course.
And now you can take advantage by advertising on our station and or shows, or just sponsoring a specific show.
Really?
So go to our website, www.lnmradionetwork.com, and see for yourself what we have to offer. And then contact us at sales@lnmradionetwork.com, or see our contact info on our website, www.lnmradionetwork.com.
Imagine that everything the U.S. government has told you about UFOs since Roswell has been a lie. Imagine that in the decade after Roswell, the government attempted communication with the aliens and succeeded. And after that, in absolute secrecy, things had gone far, far beyond this. Now imagine that tomorrow, the whole secret program is going to fall apart, and every terrible thing is going to come out. All we have left now is a prayer. Morning Star Pass, the collapse of the UFO cover-up, a fictional but unflinching and terrifying look inside the UFO cover-up, the secret government that supports it, and the world of the aliens themselves, and then how the whole secret kingdom ends. Morning Star Pass, a book that pulls no punches and does not sheath the sword unblooded. Morning Star Pass, plunging boldly where no other book has ventured, captures the whole wondrous nightmare that the UFO experience has become, from bizarre experiments performed on helpless abductees, to horrifying mutilations, to beyond, to the world of secret government supported by its own secret police, to the aliens in their secret bases, and finally to the beckoning stars themselves. The book does this by placing the cover-up, humanity, and the Earth in a real cosmos, where humanity and its passions are a part of the universe, not an aberration on it. Then comes the fall of the cover-up, in a climax of violence and desperation, to leave the human race facing the multi-hued stars with eyes open and seeking its place in them. The sands of time have run out for the cover-up, for against it, leading an army of investigators and warriors, comes Cassandra Chen, beautiful, driven, and doomed. Who can save her and us? Haha, you'll have to read it to find out. Morning Star Pass, The Collapse of the UFO Cover-Up by Victor Norgard. Get yours today. You can find this at www.firstbooks.com.
Yes, everybody, welcome back. This is Gary Ligier, the Mars Revealer, also known as the Mad Martian. And you're listening to the Martian Revelation that's upon you all again now. And please, everybody,
go to
thefacesofmars.com.
That's
thefacesofmars.com.
Scroll on down the page some and look at our guest information tonight, as well as his images that we're going to be talking about, and also some of the paintings that he's made based upon the images of what he sees from the planet Mars, from the Mars Curiosity landing site, Gale Crater, with Mount Sharp there, the top of the pyramid in the circle as it was. Curiosity ain't killed yet, though, is it? And also on the facesofmars.com, you'll also be able to see some other cool features there, like the UFO diaries, which shows some old yet new image data showing us other faces of Mars that has never been released officially by NASA nor in any released public archive for the Viking imagery, which they appear to be of. Watch that video. And there's a controversy and conspiracy down through time involved in that. And you could also see the scenes that I was able to help put together for you all, in case many of you not see it in the video itself as it plays, because they go by real fast. And unless you know what you're looking at or what to look for, how would you see anything, right, of these unidentified flying objects? And also, you could also look at on facesofmars.com, Martine Graney's Mars Cuts. It's pretty cool what's up there. And that's from the Opportunity site from Sol 985 that Martine Graney had found on January 11th of 2006. But it's interesting. If you look at it closely, again, pack them and smoke them. You'll need them. Then you'll see it. This does not look natural. So let's get into this and introduce our guest, Mr. RAMI Bar ILAN. And Rami Bar-Ilan was born in 1955 in Tel Aviv, Israel. And Rami is an artist, painter, animator, and also a musician. And he's also a veteran of Special Forces in the Yom Kippur War in 1973. And Rami attended the Ontario College of Art from 1977 to 78. The Sheridan College also for classic animation in 1982 to 84. He's also author of one book, Goodbye to Love, about the Yom Kippur War, living in a farm. But Rami is also an avid independent Mars researcher. And he started his Mars research in 2013, and he focused on NASA's Mars Curiosities images. And one of his expertises is image processing. Rami has found many evidences that in his views of the imagery he studies, that shows him that Mars was an abode for intelligent beings of an ancient Martian civilization. And as an artist, he planned to gather data to create enough paintings to put together for an art show titled something like RBI Paints Mars. And Rami's artwork is exhibited in various galleries, shows, and exhibitions. In 2014, Rami had established a Facebook group, Exclusive Mars Images. And on the facesofmars.com, under the guest image and the guest information, you can click on that image for the exclusive Mars images to the Facebook page. Do that, check it out, become a member, ask questions, and hopefully encourage you all to also explore, because the Martian revelation's upon us all now. And that being said, I believe we have Rami on with us. And how you doing today, Rami? It's like 8 a.m. your time, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Hi, Gary. Hi, Daryl.
All right. Top of the chipper in the morning to you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on, man. It's an honor to have you on. And I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I've been, seeing your work over the past few years on Facebook. So it's really cool to have you on finally to talk about it. You provided a bunch of images I'm sure we'll get into, and that's just even scratching the surface of what you got, right?
Right. I have actually thousands of images in my archives.
Exactly, and they can see a lot of that through the exclusive Mars images, right?
Right.
Excellent. So, again, now, going back to that book for a moment, that's a strange title. What's the title of that again?
Goodbye to Love.
Goodbye to Love. And what's the living on the farm part?
Well, there was one night in the middle of the Yom Kippur War, a very tough night, where I've been in Egypt somewhere, and we've been in combat all day and all night. And that...
Sorry to bring up painful memories.
Yeah, at some point in the middle of the night, for some reason, Karen Carpenter's song, Goodbye to Love, started playing in my head. Like I have a hard disk in my head that can play songs that I know and I hear everything, like the bass and the rhythm section and, violins, everything, and Karen Carpenter singing, and the words in this song. And when I experienced this in the middle of that chaos there, it touched me. And it symbolizes, when you read the book, you understand it better, the title.
Right, you don't want to give the whole book away, but it does sound interesting. I'd like to. I should have got a link to it, maybe for the archive page. If there's a link to it, I'll put it up for the listeners when the archive pages get put up to the site. The site's being built. The only thing available now is this show page, which changes every week. And Daryl and Katie handled the archives at Neely Productions there. Thanks, guys. But I got to make, so when people click on them, we got to make it so people have access to the show pages attributed to them so people can still follow it. So I'll have that link up. There is a link for that book, right, sir?
Yes, there is a link, but the book is in Hebrew.
Damn you, Rami. Well, that sounds like a very good read. Hopefully you could get it transferred to English. As a matter of fact, Neely Publishers there. They might have an idea for you if you ever want to do that. Just saying. I had to throw a plug out. But that does sound like an interesting read. And I know lots of people here in this country would like to read it. And you know what? I'll even make a show commercial ad for you. I won't charge you nothing, and that way it helps you, and you know, because that's a major impact on your life. That helps you really become who you are and where you're at now, and maybe in some strange way, maybe as an artist and a musician, maybe you'll consider this. We think differently. To your research on Mars, for all we know.
I didn't understand the question.
Oh, oh man. No, it wasn't really a question. I was just saying that was a big part of your life, and that would be great to be seen in English. And if you want, and maybe if you want, the Neely Publishers, Daryl there, you could talk to him about it. Maybe you could publish that book. It would be great here in America, and I would also make a commercial ad for the show.
Yeah, I got all that. I understand. But what did you make a connection between this and to my Mars research?
Because it makes you who you are. That instance back then makes you who you are to where you're at now.
Okay.
You know, because being an artist and a musician, you're seeing a lot of art like I do upon Mars. So maybe in some way that might be connected. That's all I was saying.
Okay, you know, each one of us is a package of experiences, and yeah, I have that part as experience in my life. It's a big part. It's a very it has a big weight,
right,
on a person's soul and spirit. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So now, what got you automatically interested in Mars, though? Let's jump ahead. It was 2013, but what drew you to Mars? Was it just seeing on the news about it and you following up, or how were you drawn to it? And then how long did it take for you to get hooked?
I'll tell you all about it. First of all, I was researching UFOs for many years. I've seen UFO.
Me too.
More than once.
Me too.
And, I've been on this subject for many years.
Right.
Studying it as much as I can. And I think that the most effective thing I can say about the research of UFOs and extraterrestrials is the what I call the great paradox. It's the discrepancy between the governments, NASA, agencies, authorities of all sorts, all over the world, between their declarations and the results of our research. It doesn't fit. What they say, it doesn't match what we find in the research.
Right.
So there is a discrepancy. And that hit me. I mean, at first when I knew there are extraterrestrials and there are UFOs really in the sky, it didn't make any sense that the authorities are saying that it doesn't exist.
Or
to me, it didn't make any sense. How can they say that when it's there, you know?
Right.
But then slowly I started to understand better the forces and the dynamics that work into the politics and the social overlook of all this, not only this, but also many other things in our lives, and that there is the life that, it's like a peel of, let's say, orange.
All right.
You come to the orange, there is a peel. If you want to know what's in there, you have to dig through the peel. You have to peel it off or make a hole, drill a hole, go through the peel and till you get to the juicy part. So societies and mentalities of societies also are the same. There is a peel. And in order to know the truth, one's got to go through, make a hole and crawl inside and dig till he crosses the peel and he gets to the juices, to the truth.
Oh, yeah.
You have to dig it. Then I learned that paradox in our life, that the reality is in one way, but what you talk about it is different. And it's also this hypocrisy is going through everything in our lives. Everything. From the food we eat, from where we are getting born, from what they, once they told us, before we had cable TV and commercial TV, they told us, we'll make cable TV, we'll make private TV, and you will not have any more commercials.
Yeah.
You pay for the channel, and that's it. Right. Now, we have so many cables and so many satellites TV and so many this. We have more commercials than ever. We pay for the channel, and we still get commercials. If they don't sell us the toothbrushes or the toilet papers, then they sell us their own programs, and they're brainwashing us. Of what?
Right. That's true. That does brainwash us. And they program us. But that's just it. And yet they keep us down on the farm, pun intended, about what's going around there up above your heads. Most people aren't looking up. That's the problem, you notice? Now, and being where you are, actually, I heard that that's pretty much a hot spot for UFOs. Do you recall several years back, I forget which year, sir, that craft that came down above the Temple Mount was chilling out, hanging out. Then it looked like a big flash, like it took a big picture. And then it hauled ass right straight up and took off. Do you remember that? Did you hear about that?
Yes, I remember that.
I wonder if it's the angels measuring out the mount. But, well, hey, you got to admit that side is definitely on the table, too, of possibilities, right? But what was the word going around there about that? Was many people talking about it, or how was it, the atmosphere is what I'm saying?
A lot of people were talking about it, and it was on the Israeli news and the television, and then they came up with all this proof, or so-called proof, that this was a hoax and blah, blah. Look, I don't know, but I can tell you about a very famous UFO sighting that happened right here where I live, 1 mile from where my house is now.
Cool.
On Chatzor, which is an Army Air Force base. And there was a UFO that had been seen and photographed on video right above, near above the airport, the Army airport. And it was looking like a sort of a strange building. Like a building with windows.
It looked like a building? You're saying it looked like a building in the sky was the ship?
Yeah. It was like standing upright. It's very famous video from 1986, if I'm not mistaken. 86 or 96. Yeah, and it was seen for a few days. Like the night after and the night after it was there, it was coming back. And then it was gone forever. But what they are doing, I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. But they are here. They come. They go. And,
that's the point, like you're saying. And on these, all they do is brainwash us and program us with all these commercialized, buy this, buy that, they live type of crap, and prevent us from looking up. While yet they have cameras, and they're not doing their job accurately, getting this out to the public without the giggle factor. But it seems the giggle factor will have to start dissipating the more they keep showing up around the world. It's becoming more profound and proficient from what I hear. So I don't know. Now, what do you think of the possibility that the UFO bone could be connected to the Mars bone?
I did not get that.
that the UFOs are connected to Mars, basically. What do you think of that possibility?
Look, the UFOs obviously connected to all bodies around us, if it's in the solar system or beyond. If these crafts can move in space, like some theories that I read and heard, and I've been on this topic for a long time, and they can like pew, win to another solar system like that.
Right.
Then there's all the bodies in the universe is reachable for them. So of course there is must be an interaction between them if they do travel and come to these places. There must be some sort of interaction between them and the places they're interested in.
Right.
Must be. But I want to tell you, so to what you asked me before about how did I start on Mars and all that, and is that I've been on these UFOs and all these mysteries, and I thought this was the most important topic in the world.
Right. And it is really.
More than everything, more than anything.
I agree. Yeah, that's why the governments are looking into it, because it is the most important. They know what's coming.
Okay, so that's the most important. It should be on the preferences list, right on the top. So from there, when Curiosity landed, it was in August 2012, and started sending images from Mars. I started following the images, and
but what actually brought you to Mars? Like, was it, oh wow, you happened to see on the news Curiosity landing? I mean, what was the catalyst that said one day, hey, I'm gonna go check out Mars?
I was checking Mars before, and also from satellites, and from the other rover, Spirit, and the others, Viking, and
all right.
And I even made I found a skull, fantastic skull, and I put it on YouTube in 2010.
Oh, okay.
That's even before. So I was.
So you were on Mars long before 2013, then.
Right, but 2013, I started getting hooked, as you said, about Curiosity. I fell in love with Curiosity, and I am very curious myself, and I am like with Curiosity together. Wherever he goes, I go with him. Whatever he's looking at, I look at it too. So I probably seen maybe almost all of Curiosity images, which I don't know, 600,000. I don't know how many. I can't even,
Thank God.
I looked through, and then I said I must paint Mars. I must make paintings of Mars. Me as an artist and as a painter, and I painted different subjects during the year, different things.
Right.
And but I love also the classic landscape painting. That's sort of relaxing me. I can go somewhere and just paint scenery. I love it. So I said to myself, wait a minute, Rami, you can paint Mars. You have these photographs from Mars. So you can decide what you want to paint and paint it. And I said, yeah, okay. So I started to make the research, also towards gathering the data so I can make paintings. And
that makes sense.
And the more,
That makes sense. As an artist, I do the same thing. I'm gathering up data for me to start paintings, but I want to do them on walls.
Great.
You know what I mean? But before you continue on, sir, not to interrupt, we're gathering up a few questions from people. If you're cool with that, it kind of jumps back to Israel and UFOs. Is that all right, sir? I have questions from people that want to ask you some questions.
Yeah.
All right. Tony on Facebook asks, in Israel, what do they say or believe when it comes to UFOs?
Who says? The public, the general?
Yeah. I guess the general public. We already know government positions, but what is the general public?
Most people, if I approach them with this subject, they don't know what I'm talking about. They're looking at me like,
In the Holy Land, they don't have a clue. Wow. Jamie on Google asks, does he know that the government of the country talks of UFOs, and how do the people respond to it? I think he kind of answered that. The giggle factor, right, sir? Could you understand me?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Jamie on Google, all right, asks, do you know that the government of the country, which the Israeli government, do they talk of UFOs? And how do the people respond when they do?
No, they don't talk. They don't ever talk about UFOs. When there was an incident here and there during the years, and they mention it on television, then usually the anchorman is ridiculousing the topic when he's saying that when he's bringing this news. Is usually, I even made a video on YouTube about that, about the anchorman ridiculing a UFO story that was, I think it was the one on Jerusalem that you just mentioned, or some other one.
Wow. But I think that was the most important one, the one above the Temple Mount. That I'm still blown away by that. I've seen that from a few different angles that people had of taking images of it. There's no way that was faked. But anyway, Corey on Facebook asks, does Israel have any desire to research Mars? Do many there believe that life on Mars may have actually come to Earth?
I hear that view that life came to Earth from Mars. I hear it on my group all the time from different people. They have this idea. Personally, me, I don't know. I don't know where life originated from here on Earth, if they came from Mars or elsewhere, or I don't know.
Exactly. It's the cosmos. It's all out there. It could come from anywhere. Some say God. And I believe...
Yeah, I don't know. I think, look, in Israel, there is a scientific community, a very strong one. And I think there is even a space program. But I don't know how interested they are in Mars. I never heard of anything about Mars. Maybe about plans to send robots to the moon or to around the Earth. They already sent, so they have. So I don't know what their plans are. I'm not aware of that.
Oh, maybe that would be good to help if you help help introduce them or helped subjects in your paintings. We'll get into that later, how that can help in the public eye anyway. And Derek, there's a guy named Derek that asks if the UFOs have been seen in the seas outside of Israel, like Red Sea, the Dead Sea, Mediterranean, or the Sea of Galilee.
I know that they have been seen from shore, above water, yes. In the Mediterranean, they've seen lights many times. Lights, not airplane lights, UFO type lights. They've been seen, and all across the shore, from the south, Ashkelon, Ashdod, to the north, Akko, and over the sea, and also on the Sea of Galilee, I think I heard also that they've been seen.
Yeah, they've been seen all over the world, right? Katie asks, is there a news blackout in Israel when it comes to ET life in Israel, and why? And does it break religious beliefs or government policy, in your opinion?
My personal opinion about religion is what's got to do with it? It's, if there is aliens, then if he created all, then he created the aliens also. So
That's right.
What's the problem with God? But there are some problems with God, I think. Anyhow.
Well, according to him, there's a lot of problems with us and the enemy.
Exactly.
But anyway, it is interesting. But I attribute on this show, we definitely covered the rounds. And I will, especially get into those subjects on this show, because as I'm sure you're aware of the Brookings report from the 50s, am I right?
Yes, I'm aware.
So all of that is so implicating, and there's a film I also have on www.thefacesofmars.com. It's Brookings related, and if anything, Brookings came out in 58. It was created, right? Now, this movie was 1952. It's called Red Planet Mars. And it gives all the scenarios of all the worst case scenarios that'll happen if we were to find out the truth, like Brookings stated, that we may definitely find artifacts, ET artifacts on the Moon, Mars, and Venus. Those three were specifically named. Now, and then how they would dissemble that information to the public. Now, the public, it was recommended that we would have society breakdown, religious breakdowns, economic breakdowns, you name it. Come on, kill your brother, kill your mother, kill your neighbor over it type of scenario if we found out about this. But so they recommended, in essence, total suppression as it was, but acclimating us slowly over time to a time when things have to be told. I think we're getting at that point now where we have to be told because, again, like that Brookings film from 1952, you could see, obviously, they must have made that movie, or obviously were talking about it before it became so-called quote-unquote official in 1958. And people also like to attribute it to being created in the 60s. And a lot of those people don't understand it goes back even before then. So it really makes you wonder, sir, about, I can't believe I'm saying it, what did they know and when did they know it? Scenario of a time then we have to be told certain things. Do you think, sir, that we are ready now to be told officially of the reality? Will it make you want to murder your wife? There's plenty of people around you that want to kill you anyway, but you think this will change their minds? Or do you think it'll make them want to kill you still?
Well, aren't we killing one another anyhow?
Exactly. So What's the heart?
One another. Look, there is a guy comes with a gun and he starts shooting people. He doesn't even know them. What does he have against them? He has some agenda, and he goes and he shoots a lady pregnant. He doesn't even know her. So I don't know where we're going to. We're killing one another, anyhow, with the booking, without the booking. So, but look, I think that if they release information, they release it on their own terms. They release only what they want to release and a little bit, and they will never open the whole thing, because I think if they open the whole Pandora box, then maybe maybe there will be a great turmoil, a great outburst of people going nuts, because I think the deceivement, they're deceiving so much, so long, and in such crooked ways, that if they reveal everything, many people will come and want to kill them, or I don't know what. I think that there is like some bad news that we are being prevented from knowing.
I agree. And on that, let's go to a break real quick, if you don't mind, Rami. And we shall be back in about 5 minutes. So everyone, again, pack them and smoke them, because you still need them. And it should make you think. That's what it's for. Okay? So I'm not promoting something evil. I'm not telling you to shoot up or smoke crack or take meth and debilitate or get drunk and go kill someone or yourself. This is to free the hand of brainwash from your mind to help you freely speculate on this show, on the Martian Revelation. We'll be back 5 minutes. Please mute your mic, sir.
Cheers.
I'll be back.
Don't run. We are your friends.
Hello. My name is Seraphine Hurley, and I'm your new host here on Late Night in the Midlands on Saturdays from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Tripping the Void. Are you going to come on a trip with me? We're going to talk about all kinds of subjects, from cryptozoology to taboos, cultural and otherwise, as well as anything abnormal. So I encourage you to come on and take a trip with me. Are you ready? I know that I am.
to the Martian revelation that's upon you all now. Again, go to www.thefacesofmars.com and scroll on down and check out the information to tonight's guest, as well as see his images, Mr. Rami Bar-Ilan. And interesting show we're having here. I mean, there's a lot of people, as you can see, that are very interested in Israel, the Holy Land. It represents so much and seems to be the focus on the center of humanity at the center of this planet, doesn't it? It's very interesting how many things point to there and how many are not seeing. How many Nazis around there? How many Nazis? You're a Nazi. You're a Nazi. No. You're a Nazi. You're the guys who not see. You're not looking up. You're not getting it. You're not seeing the bigger picture. You're walking around seeing what we've all been taught and brainwashed, and even that has been corrupted and turned upside down now, hasn't it? I'm not that old, and I'm not that young, but I'm not that old. And I seen how what we were taught then and what we're being taught then. It was the last of what was, of who we were supposed to be, of real Americans. What's up with that shit? This is why we're here. This is why I'm here. We're taking back this nation, and we have to create the Space Force. We have to secure space. We have to be the ones who have built the infrastructure for the rest of the world. Not because of the threats only from this planet, like President my thug Trump said, but because of the threats coming from deep space, where Vice President Mike Pence said we have to put American boots on the face of Mars. Why? Getting there first, yes, of course. But why? Maybe to be a beachhead for the threat coming from deep space? That should make you all wonder about the possibilities in the Martian revelation. And Rami Bar-Ilan here is right in the middle of Israel in a bigger picture scenario than what I even think he might think he's in. That's why I was trying to make his connections to his experience there through such historic and, in a way, biblical battle, and what he was thinking and feeling, and then where he was being led and leading, and still where he's yet to go as this Martian revelation unfolds. Why not? Let's give out the number for the timeline. You never know who will call in. 202-559-7943. I believe that's still number in working order. 202-559-7943. If you have a question for Mr. Rami Bar-Ilan, or if you happen to be someone, even a Martian, Spec 7, anyone that wants to call through time to pass us a message, what is your prediction of where this show is heading, of where the work of what we're talking about now is leading or you to where you're at in the future, maybe? Are you a time traveler? I don't know. You in the past? I don't know. But I'm putting out the word for certain people, and I already threw out a name. Many of you not seen it, right? There's not many Nazis out there. The people who not see what the truth is, will not see what's going on. And you know what? That we're all guilty of that. But that doesn't mean that we have to all be closed-minded to the fact, and especially when there's opportunities and spirits to change that perception, to face that, to break that paradigm, like Rami was explaining about the paradox, in essence, that it all creates. I believe we have Rami on with us. Sorry, Rami.
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So, again, you know, we left off about the Brookings. Now, based upon what, you know, curiosity, would you think that that's the fulfillment of Brookings, or that should be the catalyst of Brookings, to be told what needs to be told based upon what you're seeing in there? And if you want, we can start getting into your images, or steer us wherever you want to go, sir.
Well, I see in the images, on Curiosity images, I see a very sad, troubled planet of Mars. It's almost that the soil there and the boulders and the rocks and everything that we see on the surface It's almost that it's screaming, you know, from suffering or something. It looks that this planet looks like it had been through a trauma on a planetic scale, on a planetary scale.
Yes, listeners to this show attribute that what I say, whoop-de-doos.
Yeah, something, I think that by what I see, I think that something horrible happened there and destroyed everything. Even I think the oceans flew right to space from the whatever happened, you know, because there's all the signs that there have been there oceans on that planet, and they're gone. And it looks like we're looking through ruins of civilizations that been there in the past. That I'm convinced. I look at these pictures every day. We see blocks, you know, very carved, 90 degrees angles cut or molded. I don't know what they are. They look like blocks that are made by some intelligence.
Right.
We see parts of buildings, foundations of buildings. We see tools. We see what looks like petrified animals, or they're statues of animals, or they're animals. We see skeletons of different creatures. We see skulls. We see heads. This is fascinating. We see heads with human features, and that many of them look like us.
Human-like features, hominid type features, right?
Yeah, some are carved in the rocks. There's no doubt, and the others are just on the ground. Or, like on one instance, there was a setup of little rocks. The Curiosity photographed this from above to like it was near the rover. And it looks like somebody set up the rocks, the little rocks, to look like a face with a beard. And all sorts of objects that looks like heads. And many of them have helmets. Helmets. Some of them have horns.
Wow!
So
right.
That makes your head scratch and makes you think. You know, trying to collect all your own personal knowledge of things like this on Earth. I mean, the only thing I can compare it to is my experience from Earth. If I see a head with two horns, then I go back to our culture and I look, where do I see head with horns? And, and if I see like a face with a helmet, I go back to my culture and I say, okay, when did we have heads with helmets? And also we see bizarre things that I don't know even how to describe them or explain them. And we don't understand the forces that created them. I mean, we know the forces of wind and sand blowing in the wind and water erosion, and we understand the effects of heat and cold, changes on temperature, you know, on carving the surface. We understand as much of it as we experience on Earth. And when you go to Mars,
it's a totally another world. and it's not Earth. And they always want to make it sound Earth-like. Why? Because they know. Now, Rami, I don't know if you know this about me. I claim, based because it's what I see. Not only because to be special or stand out or something, it's because that's what I see. That Mars is artistically sculpted on an entire planetary scale. Now, being that as it may,
I can relate to that because many of the rocks, I scratched my head. I said, well, I don't understand the forces that created this. Even though I cannot identify exactly what it is and put my finger on it and tell you, look, this is such and such. Like in some items, in some finds, I can tell you, look, this looks like, I don't know if it's a shoe, but it looks like a shoe, or this looks like a foot. I don't know if it's a foot, but it looks like, I know what it looks like. It looks like a foot, or this looks like a head.
Right.
Yeah. And when you look at all these things that we see there, and take into account that the rover was not going like 20,000 miles on Mars. He's traveled only a few miles in 6 years. He's on a very specific area.
Right.
So we are looking at one area, and we see there like dozens of heads. So, I mean, you look at one, you say pareidolia, schmarodelia, okay. You look at the second one, pareidolia, schmarodelia, okay. We look at the third one, okay, trick of light in this, okay. You look at the fourth one, but you know, and the fifth and the sixth and the seventh and 10th and 20 and 30 and 40. And they are all tricks of lights and shade. I don't think so.
Exactly. Like, how many coincidences does it take to start considering the impossible?
Yes.
That's very important. And I don't know. I don't know if we have a caller on, or Odin. Is there
Hello, this is Odin, and I am here. Odin.
Oh, how you doing, Odin? I believe.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Oh, okay. It's a pretty interesting conversation that was starting to get into, I believe. Did you have a comment or a question? Odin.
I love this man. I love this guy you have on. He's very intelligent, very intellectual. I just love him. He's from Israel. I mean, well, he's Canadian, but Israeli. I really love this man. I have questions. Does Rami believe in the ideology of realism? And the question has a part to it. Since the question has been asked, there is a passage in the Torah that says, and it came to pass when man began to increase upon the earth, and daughters were born to them, the Bnei Elim saw that the daughters of men were good, and they took themselves wives from whom they choose. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days. And also afterwards, when the Bnei Elim would consort with the daughters of man, who would bear to them children, they were the mighty who from old were men of renown. I was also wondering why today's Jewish communities ignored this statement about being visited from other planets, and why is this not part of the theology of the Torah being taught to the students? Because that
sounds legitimate.
That comes right out of the Torah.
That sounds very legitimate, especially there. Rami, what do you think?
First, I want to thank you, Dim, on his very kind words. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother.
I want to, first of all, this is what it's written in the Genesis book, is incredible. And I think, every educated person on this planet should know it. Is this what he just read? That sons of God came down to earth. They liked the good looks of mankind's wives, and they took them, the girls, to and made breed. Took them to breed, and their descendants were living on the earth, and they called Nephilim, and they were giants. But very interesting is that we know that there was a flood that wiped them out.
But they were here.
Yes, they were here, yes.
What?
But the people, they were here. They came from other worlds. And most religions around the world do not want to accept that we have visitations and we had people that come. I mean, when that's what hurts.
Right.
Well,
I think that
King Holy be Jesus, he had a hard time, didn't he?
Right. I think that we have to look into to better understand this. Why is this discrepancy, so-called, I don't know how to call it, is in our life, is to go deeper into politics and trying to find out who really is in control in this planet, who really runs things here, who really makes sure things are like this. And what are the reasons that we live in such state? This is it troubles me greatly in my own personal life. Every day when I wake up in the morning, I wake up to a very ignorant world, as far as the mass societies. If we talk about these very, very important issues, with the man on the street, like 99.9% of them don't know what they're talking about.
Right, they only regurgitate what they heard on the news, right? Like here, a lot of zombies. Fake news, no less.
Look, I'll tell you, even my late father, God bless his soul, when I showed him, when I talked to him about UFOs, he dismissed it. It's my own father, is a person close to me. He dismissed it. No, this is nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Then when I showed him the Mars images, some of them, he looked and he said, no, that's impossible. What's impossible? Listen to this. What's impossible? This cannot be. If this would be real, it would be on the news. And that's my father, the man I look up to, is wise man, really, and is totally ignorant of these other possibilities that he couldn't even make himself open to accept, that he's been worked on, that he's been fooled by the authorities. He believed the authorities are, no, the aliens controlling us. What are you talking about?
So you attribute them as obviously still being possible that they're controlling us, steering us through time, and that brings up implications too. I think, Odin, of the fact of after the flood, because how did after the flood they still remain? They didn't jump on board the ark like they did for that movie. That was all full of crap, but it is interesting. That means they must have come back down. They were coming down originally from the heavens.
When you say them, you're talking about specific group like the Nephilim?
Yeah, well, yeah, they're daddies.
Their daddies. Look, as far as I understand, there are many different types that visit here, and I think that the the difference between the types that visit here is also with their power, with their influence, with their agenda, with their interests. I'm not an expert on this, but I mean, who knows what they are and what they are doing. But when we look at this situation, then we ask ourselves, who is in control? Who is really in control? This is what I ask myself. I say, President of the United States is in control? I don't think so.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Don't look like it anymore, does it? But that's got to turn around soon. But especially if I have anything to do about it, because I'm an American and I have a right to say it. Just saying. No offense to anyone, except for the commies out there and the Chi-Coms and all un-Americans. I mean, the list goes on, and that's pretty pathetic. But on the other note of that, look at the possibilities, Rami, because if they're giving out images, though, they're not exactly saying anything about it yet. It's leading there, though. Would you agree to that? Because we wouldn't have images at all.
Yeah, for sure. I think there is some sort of disclosure, which is going on it let it drops, with the little drops, like tip, tip, tip. Yeah, they putting the photos. Yeah, they cannot hide everything. They don't even care. They don't bother to comment. I mean, you can call NASA all day long. It doesn't help you. You don't get no comments from them about this.
Yes.
There is a very funny interview that made by a British television radio with they interviewed Mitchell, the astronaut, the 6 men walked on the moon.
Yeah, Edgar Mitchell, yes.
Yeah, and he told them that they are aliens. So did you listen? Did you hear that one? So they say, what?
Yeah. Then they go to make mockery out of them, the public in the public eye. And yet the news piece I read during the news section opening of this show, it's stating that, NASA scientists are starting, wonder, well, they don't know why that not too much focus has been put on it. It's because of them. The policy to keep this all secret from us, the Brookings policy. But coming to a time when we have to be told, so now we're seeing images, better images, clearer images as time goes on, and multiple imagery. And now where the space race is on us, the nations are going, there's a race on with the Chinese. You know what? I can never get over that, and I never will. And I don't mean it as a racial derogatory to the people. I'm all for the people and helping them. It's the government. They are what I normally call them. And I think you know the word, okay? But we cannot let them win and have their military bases on the moon, on the far side, or on any side without us, saying, okay, you could have your base there. Or we're going to be able to watch you and counter you. That gives them a step above. And we're at now in the space race. Hey, man, hopefully soon, we're going to kick out with something here. Because, Houston, we do have a problem. Now, with that, Thaddeus, Rami, Thaddeus had asked, has there been any discoveries of not of this world artifacts found in Israel? And what has researchers found concerning Mars, if anything, there?
Alien artifacts in Israel? I don't know. And alien artifacts on Mars? We find them every day.
Yeah, but obviously Israel ain't talking about that. Right?
If they talk about it in Israel?
Right.
Not that I'm aware of. I'm the only one that, putting these images on Facebook,
You know what you should do? Put up flyers around town of this show archive. Start bringing them, attracting them to these subjects. And I know that's part of the purpose of your painting campaigns that you want to do, right, sir?
Exactly, and we'll get a show in a very good place, and of course we'll notify you about it.
Yeah, that would be great. Pictures or video even. Yeah, maybe call the Israeli News Live or people there or something, and that would be a segment. I'm sure they focus on the people or community now and then in the news, right?
Yes, I can tell the whoever asked that we find there rocks that are floating, a little bit above ground. There are some of those, really strange. And we see pots, and containers of all types and sorts. We see many, many statues, what look like statues or sculptures. We see engravings on the rocks of some maybe unknown signs to us, or some look very similar to hieroglyphs. We see parts of machinery. We see parts that look like metal.
Yes, and that, Rami, that's another part of my theory that I claim since 1998, which is what made, Count Dicku, Mr. Richard Hoagland, come to me. I never knew of him. He came to me, took me under his wing, because I was going around on the net saying, hey, I see an artistically sculpted planet here, people. Does anyone else see what I see, or am I crazy? Years later, I'm called Mad Martian, but don't let that fool you, because I also stated at that time, it's metallic and or gold. But go ahead.
Yeah, possibly gold also. We see also animals, or the shape of animals. Some are very, very clear. We see bones, very clear bones. I mean, you look at the photo, if I tell you this was taken on Earth, you say, yeah, this is bones. And some people who understand bones can tell you what type of bone it is. We see a lot of art expressions. What I think is really, like you said, art expressions is like setup of statues or sculptures or whatever they are, and they are very expressive, very artistic. You're right about that.
I know, and therefore, think of this. Remember, there's a scripture, everybody. He brought up scripture. You shall see his handiwork in the heavens. Wake up, Nazis! Pun intended. I mean, come on. I don't know, but all of these pieces fit in the various dimensions on the table of the Martian revelation being presented upon us, because that's all what we got to face and try to come to understanding with. Those in the know and who are going and really see the big 3D picture of it by now, imagine what they got, Rami. Shit. But what they get to see, the planet Mars they now know does not look like the planet Mars we now know. The planet Mars they now know is a giant sculpture created by some unknown race of intelligent beings. And if it is what it appears to be, what does that have to do with Earth? That's the second line in UFO Diaries that leads us to many intelligent information that many Nazis not see. But look how it's fitting. Look at the guest I have on. This is not just me claiming my things over the years. This is validation and vindication, if anything, of my claims as also an independent Mars researcher in my claims.
Absolutely.
Even Hoagland said years ago, Gary, this is not, it is, well, it's good science. This is good science, just not yet. I was like, what the F? What do you mean by that? But now, look at what we're finding. Look at what you're describing, Rami. Look at the things you're seeing. These are the type of things to where now, obviously, must be the time. Right? I mean, that's the only, I mean, I'm trying to look at this over the years, trying to put all the pieces together. And where it leads me, let alone my separate independent research avenues, I'll say, but we all do share a collective of where comparative analysis is very important, which is why you created the group that you did and that you're a part of many others and we all network with, because this is not just us saying this. This data is out there and come about in varied different process views, some better than others. The point is it's growing. That's the thing. The numbers are growing. Why? Because like Rami said, there's so many images now. You know, so it's like, what's next? Well, we were already told we got a threat coming from deep space. We're already told, again, by official Brookings type official parties, that would be the ones to tell you that people would look to on TV, which they were. You mentioned earlier about your dad and the TV. Now, what would his words would have been hearing Mike Pence, chairman of the National Space Council, say, we're going to put American boots on the face of Mars. Then you can say, ha, Dad, guess what? What, son? Hey, here's the face of Mars. What do you think? And that, you know what I'm saying? So we can connect the stuff now more easily than then. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to say here.
Absolutely. Look, Gary, on Mars, there are pyramids.
Yes, sir.
Now, pyramids are on Earth. We have pyramids on Earth, and we have pyramids on Mars. Yep. Now, that's just absolutely clear and obvious Mars and Earth connection.
Right.
First of all, we have the pyramids. So,
exactly. They're huge structures that boom right out at you without having to get down close to the ground to see what you're seeing. Now, Yule of Tides, that's an interesting name, Yule of Tides, on Facebook asked, in your artwork of Mars and your visual eye of Mars, does Rami see a mass destruction by meteor or asteroid or weapons by extraterrestrial design, in your opinion? Could be all of them, right? But go ahead.
Yeah, could be each one of them, could be all of them, could be one of them, I don't know. But we see that the stuff is like much of it probably underground, like buried. We see only what's on the surface, and it looks like a great movement of matter was happening there and buried everything, and maybe with water together, who knows? And we also see tools, hand tools. Very fascinating.
I think that you're referring to that wrench-looking one, right?
There are many. I don't know which wrench you mean. We see hollow rocks, what looks like hollow rocks, or other material. I don't know what they are. We see things or objects that dissolved one into the other, maybe by great heat. You know,
that makes sense.
Yeah, like you can see artifacts, part of them that were swallowed by a rock, type to speak. Like maybe the rock was melting and covering part of the artifact, and then it got cooled off. So you see that really weird stuff.
Definitely a lot of material. And that's how it looked to me also when I made my claims years ago about Mars, that a lot of it looks like it could have been carved, maybe also, or directed when the medium was hot, because then it could be moldable easier. I mean, but then again, who knows? They might not even need it to be. They could just carve into it. But that's the process. How? A giant planet, Terry sculpture? Bizarre on the Martian Revelation, isn't it? But people get ready because they want to send yours children's boots that stand on the face of Mars. That was, again, Vice President Pence, who's also the chairman of the National Space Council. Again, the officials to come on TV, which that's where they said it. It's just that people did not see it because they're all Nazis. Get it? But anyway, Mr. Mars Returns, interesting names tonight. Mr. Mars Returns asked, do you find that Mars has a lot of knowledge that we of Earth are missing? And when you look upon Mars, what do you truly see, Rami?
I see destruction. I see destruction, and did they have technology that unfamiliar to us? I think so. By the things I see, some I don't understand. So there must have been different ideas that we are not familiar with. Also, I want to refer to the other guy that asked about my artwork. Is I want to bring the Mars revelation,
right? Thanks.
The Mars revelation to the arts. I want to put it there in the arts. I want it to be a topic in the arts,
right?
Something to deal with in the arts, because the arts have a very powerful tool. True, it's not affecting immediately like politics, but it does have an effect that when it's soaked in, it does very good things to people.
Yes, big time. You know what? On that note, I think we should go to a break right now. We'll come back. We'll throw out the timeline number again. We still have a question or two that's coming in, and I'm sure maybe more questions. But anyone, feel free to call on in. Let your voice be heard on the Martian Revelation this night, as we're with our guest, Rami Bar Ilan. So, again, pack 'em and smoke 'em. Please mute your mic, sir.
I'll be back.
Don't run. We are your friends.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
back, everybody. This is Gary Lucia, your host of Mars Revealer, known also as the Mad Martian, as many of you know. And you're listening to the Martian Revelation. That's upon you all now with our guest, RAMI Bar Ilan. And I speak. What's that there? Can you dig it? But anyway, if anyone like to call in on the timeline, again, anywhere down through time, little green man or not, man or beast, 202-559-7943, 202-559-7943. Or if you like, please, send me an email at marsrevealer@gmail.com, marsrevealer@gmail.com. And indeed, and make sure to go to www.thefacesofmars.com and check out Rami's images there. And I don't know if you're seeing those images or not, Rami. I was hoping maybe you could talk to us about some of them and then your amazing paintings there, if you want to get into that.
Sure.
All right. So, all right, everyone, go to www.thefacesofmars.com. Eventually, we will have all video, go to video with regards to all this. But this needs to be done and brought about on efforts shared by a couple people. So we all just got to sink in when all our lives and time have applicate. But in the meantime, I'm starting to practice with it myself and just mess around. And Mean Green out there, he's also doing the same thing. And Darryl, we all eventually will all meet up. This is a big effort. And again, that's why we need your support at L&M Radio Network. Your donation support counts, and especially if you donate to the Martian Revelation, because it'll help keep being here back through time for you all. But I enjoy it, but it's a mission for me, a hidden mission. Yeah, that's unfolding, the usher in the Martian Revelation. That's upon you all again now. Again, to give out that timeline number, 202-559-7943, 202-559-7943. So we're back here at RAMI, and we're all should be at thefacesofmars.com, right, everybody? Now, RAMI, the first image, that's under your logo for the exclusive Mars images. Tell us about that one. That looks pretty fascinating.
It's we called it at one time the mother of all finds.
The mother of all finds, huh?
Well, it's a rover curiosity photo from planet Mars, and it's the photo captured on the top of the hill or a mountain. This figure, this amazing figure, it looks like maybe a woman, some suggested, or and
big old city sticking out there with a nipple.
You're right, and she's sitting on a what looks like some sort of a chair, carved chair from the rocks, and maybe she's holding something in her hand, or you can see the breast. And it's absolutely amazing. Also, there's more stuff around it that we don't see in this image, but this is really fantastic one.
The mother of all finds. So that maybe people may think she's holding a baby, or she's like that type of position, sitting in the chair looking, to her side as it was. Hey, what's going on over there type of look. And you can tell it looks like definitely multiple types of material. And a lot of it looks metallic, in my opinion.
Yes.
So that's the mother of all.
When you look at it, you can't make mistake and say it's not what it is. What it is. I mean, you see a figure there. It's as clear as the sunrise. It's you see it. How can you deny it? It's amazing. This one is amazing. Absolutely
Definitely.
amazing.
I wish they took it from other angles. That would be interesting. The next image down, that kind of could look like one of the tools you were talking about, because it looks like a pickaxe.
Right. This is a find from 2018. It does look like a pickaxe. What else can I say? Pickaxe.
Yeah, and like the handle even looks like it's risen above the ground, casting a shadow.
Right.
That's interesting. I can see why you would say that. Now that next image under that, that's the third image. That's interesting. Tell us about that.
Phenomenal. I mean, that really look bizarre. It looks like, from one point of view, it looks like an animal, some similarity to animals we have here on Earth. From the other way you look at it, it looks like a rock. And now the question is somebody was making it? Is it natural?
Yeah, you can see the striations all over it. It looks almost cuneiformic type patternings. That seems evenly as lines. You can see the lines going through it.
Right.
And it looks sculpted. And to me, it looks metallic. But that's me. But look at that feature there. Look at that rectangular, ovalish feature. You see where I'm going toward the bottom middle of that so-called rock?
Yeah.
That don't look natural. That looks shaped. And without the cuneiformic type art, it just looks like a shape. Like something either imprinted it, but we got all that so-called dust. And I don't believe that's sand, everybody. I believe that's the iron oxide dust that we see that envelopes the whole planet, covering a lot of this crap up. That's my opinion.
You know what I love in this image? I love the expression of this artwork. If it is an artwork, I love the expression of it. It's
higher than human. It's higher than human. That's what I'm saying. I mean, we could see glimpses, we could catch concepts, but remember, this is all destroyed materials of a much, 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 much far more advanced anything we could dream up. Especially
probably, yeah.
And that's remarkable. I don't know. And look at the colors. Yeah, you could, if you study the images, you can see the different hues of blue sheens. And it looks metallic, but that's just me. All right, let me shut up. The next image is really interesting. That would be the fourth image. Down.
Yeah.
Please tell us about that. That you cannot mistake the geometry in that.
Exactly, and you see here a non-rock object. So you say what it is. I mean, you can describe it as some sort of a wheel or something with a central shaft and arms that goes around. And
yeah, it kind of looks like an alternator. The back of an alternator or something.
Right. I mean, what's the chance of this being naturally formed?
And it looks metallic.
What's the chance of this? What's the chance of this being naturally formed?
Correct. That's odd. There's a lot of weird things, and look at all the varied colors around the place, around all these features.
Yes.
It does not make sense unless you consider the artistic aspect to this.
In my opinion, this is a part of something, part of machinery or something.
Right. Now, everybody, you did not add these colors in there. This is in the data.
All colors are in the data. All colors are in the data. When I start to process and I enhance, then the colors comes up. And many times I have to reduce them because they come up too strong.
Understood. But that is interesting. You don't know the size and scale of what that thing is, though, right? How big it actually is? Can we hold it in our... Is it
on many I can give estimates. This one, I have to go back and look at it, the other, the wider view. But I think could be a couple of feet, at least, if I recall this object.
Nice. That's definitely. Now let's go down to the next one. That one looks kind of interesting. You can see some metallic sheens on these quote-unquote rocks.
Yes, you see on the top there is something very interesting. Of course, I don't know what it is. And even beneath it, there is also an interesting shape. But at the bottom, you see a polished sphere.
A polished sphere, you said?
Sphere, yes.
Okay, yes, I see that. And look at the reflection right on top. It looks metallic.
Could be.
Now look at that stain, though, that it sits on. It looks like they're sitting on it like it might have been wet there. You know what I mean? Compared to the features next to it. And look at those tiny features on that stain. That looks even artistic. It doesn't look normal. I love this place. This place freaks me out. I'm obsessed with Mars. And I admit
there are different markings, but I don't know what to make out of it. I see it everywhere in the photos.
Right. And it's not JPEG artifacts. All right, now let's scroll down to the next one. That one looks pretty interesting.
This one, I thought when I first saw it, I was like, woo! I think this is an amazing one. It looks to me like two entities on a machine.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me, no, it don't look like it, but it reminds me of the serpentine heads down on the Mesoamerican pyramids. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It kind of looks like that a little bit. I'm not saying that's what it is. What I'm trying to say is, and if you know what those look like, those are art sculpted in stone. And this looks art sculpted in metal and stone. It looks metallic because look at the various metallic sheens on these quote-unquote rocks. And the way the features go. If we, it would have been great to be able to get closer with sharper detail to a lot of these features. You know what I mean?
What you're looking at,
we can see all the geometry. We could see the geometry. You could see the angles. You could see the cuts. You know what I mean? And the way that it follows is not by natural, like chipping off rocks. This stuff connects to other stuff that it looks also carved. You know, you're seeing a work of art is what I'm saying. That this shows.
It's amazing. It's amazing piece. I don't know what to say. To me, it looks almost like two entities sitting on a machine, and the machine even have a weapon. I can see underneath something sticking out, and but that's only me, that's my head.
Right.
I was very impressed with this one, but I sent you, I think, 10 images, but I have thousands and thousands and thousands.
Right.
And you don't know what's more interesting than the other, So people should understand that it's like all over the place.
Yes. And I know we just have so much time to talk about some of these images, though that I didn't have the room to put thousands of images, nor do we have the time to get into thousands of images. But these are just examples.
I just want people to know that there is so many, good ones, very, clear ones.
Clear
Many, many.
ones, right. That's why they need to all go on exclusive Mars Images. Click on that link to take you to our Facebook page, people, and sign on up, subscribe to it, like the page, and check it out. Go through all the history and all the posts and all the images there, and, you tell us.
Exactly.
Right? But let's go to the next one, because that one's kind of interesting, too.
Yeah.
That looks like wow. I could swear I see well, if I was, and it ain't pareidolia, I could swear I see almost a face there or something, like a split face.
This is tiny. This thing is tiny. It's small, and I zoomed in, and there is this thing on that rock. Bizarre looking.
That's right. Bizarre world. Yeah, look at the ornate art on it. Okay, let's scroll down some. We're just looking at them. And they still look metallic, many of these. All right, now let's go to that one. Yeah, let me count the images just for everyone's sake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Image number 10, Rami. Holy crap.
Which one is it, number 10? Which is it?
The 10th image under the exclusive Mars Images link.
Oh, you want me to count them? You didn't go to the next one? Okay.
Yeah, no, I skipped by them because, like, you just kind of said it. There's many things people could see.
9, 10. Oh, you're talking about my painting?
No.
Oh, so
it's right above your painting. You can see the right-angled cuts in the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at that. I would swear, anyone looking at this, I've seen a lot of videos of Egypt, people walking around the pyramids, and it looks like this.
You're talking about this foundation, right?
Yeah. Look at those right angles, those cuts.
That looks artificial. Absolutely.
Oh, definitely, because it has right angles, has geometry, and it, wow. It don't look natural. That's not an accident. So, where was that image taken? That was from Curiosity also, obviously.
Yes.
And that was in 2016. So like he said, everybody, Rami has thousands of images looking at these. And you could have all correlating links that go back to the NASA raw image data too. So you too, if you don't believe it, well, go see for yourself. Now that brings us to your paintings. Now tell us about that first one. That's real interesting. That's wild looking. It's Martian-esque.
It's fascinating, fascinates me. This thing is captured by Curiosity on a larger photo, and it's just there on the scenery,
Right.
Just is like standing there on an angle with that red square also, with this peculiar shape and things, I don't know how to describe it, but you see it in the image.
Yep. Did you title this painting a name? Did you give her a name? Many artists do. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, it's written right at the bottom, the title of it.
Oh, okay. Let me scroll down a little more.
Since I
well, it's called Mars Figure 215701. Okay.
Yeah, I have to, so we can follow and know where this is taken from.
That makes sense. Yep.
So here I bring my feelings and my thoughts, but it's the thoughts of in a level of no, not in a level of words. It's in a level of observation of. It's in the level of like listening to music. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So I'm trying to come with the emotional, speak with the emotional part of people. And
you see right there, that connects back, like I said earlier at the beginning, to your past experience.
Yes.
Because you're emotional. Now you've got the tie. You didn't really know how you could tie that earlier. You seem confused.
You're right.
So I see where you're going. So that's good, everybody. And that only shows that we're on the right path here. So, all right. So that's pretty amazing, though. How long did it take you to do that? How you know what I mean?
I was cooking, like the desire and the thoughts to paint it for a long time. I was like being cooked within myself, within my own juices of what to do, how to do this. And one day I just sat and did it. How long did it take me? It took me a day and a half. This is a small painting. It's not a large one.
Right. And you obviously, you paint very fast. I take time. I'm a turtle, but I know exactly what you mean about feelings and thoughts and like music, all that, and the desire to applicate that with things I see on Mars. And that's what I'm going to be putting on my room, in my office here, on that wall. I got a big white wall here. Well, big enough for me that I want to put Cydonia on the wall, paint it. At least Greater Cydonia, the face, the pyramids, and stuff like that. So that's going to be a task and a half. But I've always been wanting to do that. So I know where you're coming from. I just haven't got to do that yet. So I'm glad, I know another artist that's actually working on it, That being said, who else?
That corresponds to what I said of being like getting cooked about the thinking of doing it for a long time.
Right. And then you finally do. Exactly. We have another question from a Robin. Could the image that you are showing of the woman and the foot be real Martians, quick frozen and covered by sediment, or maybe like a nuclear blast, and with the atmosphere gone, frozen and sediment encased the image? I see where she's going. I don't know if I'd buy it, but I could see that coming to mind, to get the bigger steps and wondering. What do you think, Rami?
Are we talking about the first image?
Yeah, the mother of all finds.
Yeah. Well, if it was exposed to a nuclear thing, I didn't really understand what you wants to know.
Yeah, I think she'd be vaporized. But flash frozen. I see. I don't know how that would flash freeze.
Like Lot's wife in the Bible.
Yes.
At Sodom and Amorah, when she turned over to look,
yeah,
she became a statue of salt.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
It's possible, I guess. But hey, people are thinking about it. I don't make fun of her question, and or his, I guess. You know what I mean? These days.
Yeah, sure. No, I wasn't making fun. I just didn't understand the question.
No, right. No, I mean in general, if like other listeners are saying, something, but everyone has a thought on this. This is what, many are ignorant, and we actually are still in much ignorance too, because we don't have the Martian revelation and the truth fully out yet. We're on the path to make that happen. That's why we have to make our own fate to make it happen. So,
Right.
So that's where we're at. All right, now let's go down, Rami, to the next image, to the next painting, which is the statue 134601. That looks pretty cool too.
I am hypnotized by it.
Right? Do you want to tell us about it some?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's showing the edge of a cliff or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I got it pretty much exactly the expression and all the features are exactly like in the curiosity photo. Of course, I gave it my own artistic touch.
Right.
And I was hypnotized by it when I saw it. It looks so artistic and so. It reminds me of ancient art here on Earth. Maybe some African, maybe something else. The design is absolutely incredible to me.
Right.
And that's it. When I like something so much, I like to paint it. And
I hear that.
Here's the results. It's 2018.
Nice. So that's recent. All right, now let's go to the one under it. That one's amazing. Mars statue 145001.
Yes.
That has a lot of color and, a lot of life there, pun intended.
Yes, this is stunning. Absolutely stunning. When you look at it, if you don't know it's from an existing place on another planet, man. If you don't know, and you look at this, one may think that it's from imagination of an artist, including the eye, including the little face at the bottom. It looks like some surrealism or something like that. But this is really an impression of an existing place on planet Mars. And it's, I uploaded this into the group in Facebook, plus the source file of NASA, and one can see it. One can see it in our group.
That's cool. And what do people say about it? Do they see where you're coming from?
Yes, we have some very beautiful comments, and it excites people. It does something. It does something. How you say this in English? Erech musaf. It's adding some value.
Yes.
To the original source. It's adding value, and it's actually uplifting the issue and to another level of NASA images.
Yes, indeed.
Because when you look at this, I mean, this is, you see obviously that this thing is a piece of thought of some other entity. It's not by us. It's on another planet. But you can see thought. There is thought in there. There is knowledge in there. There is a whole world view or perceptions in right in this statue or in this creation. There is this is like it's like a language. It transmits data just by the shape of it and the way it's built. So
I agree. I've thought of those same things looking down, studying Mars, those same concepts. So this is so enlightening and invigorating and validating to me, sir. And
so this is actually a language, and that we may or may not decipher. This is actually a language. This is actually pieces of information that are left there on planet Mars for others to explore and learn something.
I agree, and it's part of the much bigger picture that makes the entire planet, which could be, well, the history of the whole universe for all we know.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I said it's higher than human. You know, we have attributes, especially if, you know, we're created, which I believe we are, that we would see connections of or reflections of knowledge or something that draws us to it. And obviously, but I don't know, we need our boots there regardless. But I think, yeah, I would definitely want a couple M60s with me just in case. You know what I'm saying? So as beautiful as that is, time's starting to run low. So let's get down to the next image. That one's also very interesting. That's Mars Robot 086201.
Yes. This one is my wife approached me and she said, you know, remember that one, the robot and this? I wonder how you'll do this. So I surprised her and I did it. It's amazing photo by Curiosity that shows this robot, what looks like, it appears like a robot. And
what does your wife think about these images and your representations? Is she fascinated, or does she steer away from that and let you be you?
She is my greatest fan and inspiration, and she is hooked on this and all the time wants to see new stuff. Yes,
that's very good. So that's that. I'm glad that you have someone like that to help encourage you on and support in this, especially. Wow. I mean, this is beautiful. I think your plan is a good one, bringing this out in art and, exhibits and stuff like that. It definitely gets people interested and pointed to look at Mars, to see the images, and then have their voices from their balls of wanting to know and maybe even wanting to go. It is literally in our grasp to be able to go, me and you, to Mars in our lifetime. And the only way we could make that happen is by critical mass. Boy, he was right there too. Yeah. It's the truth. The more people,
I think we should keep on and informing people about what we discover, because we deal with important issues, issues that if enough people are going to be aware of it, then a whole new paradigm will come upon mankind on Earth.
Exactly. The Martian revelation is upon us now.
Yes.
All right, Rami. Well, we got a couple of minutes left. Do you want to, feel free to give out any other info or whatever you might want to get out?
I just want to bless everyone, and I want to thank you and thank Daryl, and say I've enjoyed being on the show, and we should keep it up.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely keep it up. Maybe get some roundtables going eventually too, with some various other researchers on some nights. Would you be open to that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, excellent. All right, Rami. Well, again, thank you very much for being on, and we'll talk again soon. I'll let you know when the archive's up, and hopefully, this helps you to get the word out, especially there in Israel. And you're in a prime position, sir, to where you maybe even can make a buck at it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's prime and ready, and you're helping show that, especially by these paintings and the work that you do. So I appreciate it, and I commend you, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you for having me, and bless you.
All right, bless you too, sir. More than you know. Thank you very much. So everybody, that was Mr. Rami Bar Ilan. So I don't know. Excellent guy. I've been wanting to talk to him for a long time. He's got a lot of work involved in this. And again, exclusive Mars images. Click on that logo there at thefacesofmars.com. Just under his show, his bio information there. And on top of the images that we all just went through. And again, those are just those are just samples. I mean, like he said, there's thousands of images and more crisper, sharper, and all different shapes and sizes, pun intended. And his paintings are capturing the essence. And maybe that might be a key to help you all to see what's really there better as well. You see, that's an important factor of this. And sometimes that's all it takes is to someone to help nudge your paradigm. You know what? I find that interesting, but you know what? So I think maybe, it's coming down to the end. But, I want you all to think about that because the space race is upon us. The Martian revelation is upon us. And it's only becoming more relevant each show, one show at a time, isn't it? Just as predicted and fulfilled, we yet to see. We yet to see. But on that note, everybody, till next week, if everything goes right, we'll have Mr. Michael Cremo on with us. That should be a real interesting conversation as well. He was last on the Martian Revelation, 2003 or something? Wow. That's a long time ago, guys. But anyway, on that note, all I got to say is lift me up, baby.
Plain talking, take us so far, broken down car, like strung out old stars, plain talking, served us so well, we traveled through hell, know how we felt.
brain cells on other station. And these are your brain cells on this radio station. Trust me, we're good for you.